I've got a big cheesy smile on me today because I got a question. And for me, the real want here is to help other people perhaps learn from my experiences and speed up their entrepreneurial journey as a result. And I share the lessons I'm learning kind of in real time. But if there's anything that you're wondering, please do get in touch, send me a question. It's a delight to share through this. Anyway, I got a question from, of all places, Chicago, which is mad. It's probably the real cool thing about sharing a video out on YouTube. I'm based in Dublin, Ireland. Don't know the person at all, but amazing to have that reach. Anyway, they asked very simply, how do you best manage relationships with clients as a freelancer in starting off? And my first thing would be to say that very frustratingly in starting off, you actually have to factor in mistakes as part of your journey. You are going to make mistakes. But it's so important to learn from them. And how do you learn from those mistakes? I'd encourage everybody to kind of build a terms of service. What that is essentially an overview of how you work best. If you're going to work with me, I need you to work this way because this is how I work best. And you're employing me to work at my best, so you need to work with me in this fashion. I hope that makes sense. So there's a couple of things around there. The first thing is that you need to have the communication skills and the confidence to tell a client, if you're going to work with me, I need you to work with me like this. That can be really, really challenging, and I'll get to that in a bit. But you also have to figure out how you work your best. And as I said earlier, you're going to make mistakes. So as you make those mistakes, think of how you could have preempted those mistakes. What could you have done with the client that perhaps would have set you off better and would have avoided that mistake? Note it down. If you are going to work with me, I need you to work with me like this. That becomes a terms of service. Now, a lot of people will think about money, perhaps. Loads of issues come up in your start with regards to money. Payment terms. So for most freelancers, the really, really obvious thing is that if you're doing a campaign, charge 50% up front, 50% upon completion. If you're doing retained work, as in ongoing work that repeats itself every month, I'd encourage you to charge up front in advance of commencing months. And it's hard to actually say, if you're going to work with me, I need you to work like this, or if you're going to work with me, I expect you to pay like this. But actually, as an employer of loads of freelancers, I actually take a lot of confidence when I'm dealing with somebody and they're assertive. Because for me, I get a feeling of, okay, this person has experience, this person has probably experienced bad circumstance and they know how they work best. And I take a huge amount of confidence from that versus perhaps the others that come in and they say, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do this, and they don't even mention money. And they over-promise. I kind of instinctively know, okay, this person's promising the moon, the stars. They haven't talked about the business side of things. They're going to under-deliver, and it gets my fear up. And when I feel that, I don't engage whatsoever. So perhaps there's something in that. Don't over-promise, because you'll inevitably end up under-delivering, or you'll actually scare off a client. Come into dealings and be conservative. I actually take confidence from conservatism in that respect. And when you're conservative, it tees you up really, really nicely to over deliver. And that's probably another key lesson. Don't be afraid to over deliver. Obviously not hugely, but fractionally. People like to get a taste of value, a sense that they're getting a good deal. So do the work and then just that little bit extra. I'm not saying fucking push yourself into servitude, but what I am saying is it goes a long way. People really, really like that, and it'll help build your relationship. And then when it comes to the relationship, realize that behind every business are people. People are human. And so as much as you'll have your terms of service and you'll have your way of dealing with people, realize that there is a person on the end of the phone, and they'll want to work with people that they want to work with, and they won't want to work with people that are too mechanic, too rigid. So when you're dealing with people, just be human. That's absolutely key. And so you'll have I'm kind of going a bit full circle, but it is important. You'll have your terms of service. You'll have your way of working, and that's all primed to have you working at your best. And you'll need people to work with you in that fashion to get you at your best. But there does need to be a little bit of elasticity to allow for a relationship to form and to allow for that human side of people on the other side. On that same note, there can't be too much elasticity. You can't have people taking the piss out of you. And so you need to have the confidence to stand your ground. Instinctively, when dealing with people, you'll feel when you're perhaps being exploited or when perhaps people are pushing you a little bit too far. And there's nothing wrong with saying, excuse me, I need to just pause things for a moment. I really feel like you're pushing me too far here, or you're demanding too much, or what you're asking for isn't in proportion to how you're rewarding me or how you're looking after me. And we need to address this now. Addressing things promptly is absolutely key, because when something niggles at you, if you address it there, you're relaxed. You know, the relationship is relaxed. Everything is good. If you don't, if you leave it in the back of your head, it'll fester. And in your dealings with that person, it'll actually show, and it'll boil up as well. And if it boils up to the point that you have to address it, firstly, as it's been there unconsciously in the background, it's been damaging the relationship. Secondly, when it's exploding up, you'll communicate it completely irrationally. And the person that's dealing with you will look at you and be like, whoa, what the hell? This is too much. And they'll probably run a mile from you. And so that won't be productive. So anyway, the key lesson I've learned is that whenever an issue occurs, jump on it first. You'll be able to deal with it much better, and you'll have a much better, you'll go into it with a much better relationship. Anyway, I hope that's of value. There's probably a number of other tips, but those are the first ones that came to mind. I want to keep this kind of short and snappy. If I cover the points and it's been of value to you, please let me know. And if there's anything else you'd like to know, or if there's any, if there's any points within that you'd like me to expand on, don't hesitate to ask either.